Oh man. The whole point is to share it on here.
Oh yeah, that's right. Embarrass the shit out of yourself.
Keep the conversation, as random as possible.
And you're doing a fine job on your end.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of StarrDumB. I'm your host, Jukebox. And as always, you know me. Half these shows are scheduled, half of them are last minute. This one's last minute, but it's just it'll be just as interesting as the rest of them are. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Big shout out to all of you. We're doing fantastic with all of our shows. We got another Burn After Playing coming up. One big thing. We've been getting a lot more actors and actresses and film directors and all of that involved in JG's Lounge. And it's been huge for us. And one thing I've noticed, nothing to knock off any of the other guests that we have, but I'm getting a lot more promotion and expansion for the network through these people because they're sort of promoting themselves. And I'm not saying that some of the guests don't, but I've noticed more reach and interaction lately with some of these bigger names. Ev.O.Lution, man, you're with us tonight, one of the admins for JG's Lounge. First off, how you doing, man? And what do you think about that as well?
I'm doing great. I think that's fantastic for the network, man. Mm-hmm. It just shows that everything that we've been doing all along is just continuing to grow. Right. Things are getting bigger, things are expanding. The names that we're, having on our shows are getting to be bigger names. And like you said, actors and actresses. Right. Comedians, you name it, they're starting to flock our way. Right. So when that happens, you just gotta expand and make adjustments to meet the demand.
Right, exactly. And another thing something that we offer that I think a lot of podcasts don't offer. You have yours that just do video. You have those that just do audio. We do both, but on top of that, we offer something that's pretty unique, which is IMDb credibility. I never really thought of that as even an option until we recently had a guest, Kyle Lament, on, and Brofiki had actually mentioned it in the past before, but I think Kyle Lament kind of revisited it to me. I'm totally wording that wrong. And I looked into it finally, and it takes work to set up the shows on IMDb, but once you do, getting the episodes on there is pretty simple. But when you have 170 episodes like StarrDumB does, it's a bit time consuming. It really is.
Yeah.
But we're getting there. We're getting there, man. So if you guys are on IMDb, if you guys want to be seen, check us out. Reach out to us. Let us get you on the show. Or even be a part of the commentary. You know how we are. We like to share the commentary on the shows, just to give you guys credit that way. But with that being said, you guys, there's a lot. There's a lot coming up. We still got the about that episode that's going to be on a marathon coming up soon. Or we're still doing that, correct? Probably the
oh, absolutely.
Getting at 25, right?
Yeah, it's gonna look like a big thing for to kick off the new year, man. So that's where we're headed.
I like it. There's possibilities of switching to another platform besides StreamYard. Not that we don't really appreciate them, but there are other avenues to get the same content out there, and it's possible. Again, nothing against StreamYard. They've been huge for our growth. So, there's that. With that being said, we're going to get into some history today on StarrDumB. Go ahead.
One more. The Journey Part 2 will be getting wrapped up and presented in 2025 as well.
Yes. We've got, I would say, maybe a third or even a fourth of it ready to go. Your little interviews that you've done with several people that you've had on through the podcast career that you've had. And then you're going to kind of continue from the number one journey, right?
Absolutely. Take it to the next.
Yes. I think you probably, as we've discussed some of the difference in plugins might have affected some of the content that you could have gotten.
Oh man, it was a lot of learning opportunity the first time around, but because of that, this one should be a lot better. I had some missed opportunities, and
I never even asked though, like what kind of plugin do they have?
dude, they two prong.
Really?
Everything I have is three prong, and I had to find a source and a connection to
Uh-huh.
hook me up with adapters. So the next time I go, I got some adapters that can help me do a lot of footage, and yeah, I'm gonna have to do a lot of shooting with my phone actually.
Right.
So we'll get through it.
Yeah, we always do. That's what we do, man. That's what we do.
Uh-huh.
Those of you that are tuning in, thank you. I see several of you up there on the screen. Feel free to be in the commentary today while we discuss some pretty comical historical facts. Some of them are more interesting than comical, but we always find a way to find the comedy in it. With that being said, let's get into the first one here.
Okay.
During World War II, a Great Dane named Juliana was awarded the Blue Cross Medal. She extinguished an incendiary bomb by peeing on it.
You gotta be kidding me, dude. Awarded the Blue Cross Medal for peeing
on a bomb. Shit, I'll take a Blue Cross medal and go pee on a bomb for you.
Oh man, that's hilarious, man.
Juliana, get over here. You see that bomb over there? Go get rid of it.
I don't think they had to do all that. I think it just happened. the dog was just sniffing and had to go and mark the place.
It wasn't even a military dog. It was just some random stray Great Dane.
And mark the spot and boom, or not boom in this case.
I just see the military men like in the war zone, like watching this dog, like no, don't touch your snout on it. No, what are you doing? What are you doing? All right, we're good.
That's something. That is something.
Man, Great Dane's a big dog too, man.
Heck yeah.
I don't know so much about the females, but I imagine they're still big too.
Yeah, that type of animal gets pretty big.
I know we talk about pets a lot on here, but I feel like pets that are used in forces, whether it's military or whatever, it's crazy to the extent that they do for training and things like that. I don't know if you ever watched or seen any of that stuff, but the things you can train an animal to do is insane.
Yeah, they're quite, and it's certain types of dogs. We have to leave with that because all dogs aren't really natured, I guess, or who catch on in that manner. It's a certain types of dogs or animals who you can train to be really, really strong in a lot of areas, but it takes work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't really see a Chihuahua, being trained to go piss on bombs that are 3 times its size.
No, Chihuahuas are bougie.
They're also annoying as fuck.
That's because they're bougie.
Quiet Wyatt, thanks for tuning in, man. How's it going? They are. Chihuahuas are definitely bougie. Beagles are very annoying dogs. Great for hunting. Besides that, they annoy the shit out of you. I'm being a little bit too explicit. I'm sorry, guys. But they do. They annoy you quite a bit. I've lived with some basset hounds. Terrible barks. Probably the most annoying bark I've ever heard. And one cool thing about basset hounds though is they go out in packs into a field, and they will they'll bark when they sense something, and they'll pop their tails up, and all of them will herd around it, and then they come back about 10 minutes later covered in blood and excited.
Nice. Nice.
I have had, you know what? I have had wiener dogs that have brought back groundhogs and moles.
Really?
Not groundhogs, but moles. Those little tiny things that look like this big,
Uh-huh.
and they'll carry them in their mouths because they play dead, and then they'll drop them off at your feet,
And then
and
they take
then
off.
they'll scurry off. Alop, thanks for tuning in, man. Appreciate it. Let's get on to this next one here.
All right.
Alexander the Great was accidentally buried alive. Scientists believe Alexander suffered from a neurological disorder called Guillain-Barré syndrome. They believe that when he died, he was actually just paralyzed and mentally aware. That'd be rough.
Yeah. Interesting.
That is interesting. What you
How
got?
How would they know? I mean, how would they know?
Right. How long ago was that? About the same way they know that how fast we spin in the universe, and about how fast the planets accelerate through the vacuum of space. Science, my friend, science.
Yeah. I call it hypotheses.
It's an assumption, people.
Yeah. An educated guess. That's about it.
Based on the way that his body is sitting, it looks like he tried to scratch his way out. Just assuming by the claw marks on the casket that he wasn't actually dead.
Maybe it was from the rats that crawled through the hole, and man, that's crazy.
That would be pretty miserable, though. To actually be paralyzed and witness yourself being buried would be a freaking nightmare.
Yeah, to say the least. But then again, I mean, I'm stuck on how would they know? I mean, it just says scientists believe. That right there lets me know that that's a bunch of hogwash.
Yeah. Just like watching a movie that says based on a true story.
Yep.
There's a book, and I don't know if it's Stephen King, but there's a book out there where somebody is lost in the woods, either falls asleep or passes out. I can't remember. And because they got bit by so many different wild animals, it paralyzed them. And when they were found, the person who found them believed that they were dead because they weren't showing symptoms. They weren't breathing and their heart wasn't pumping because of all the different bites that they obtained. And they were buried alive. And what's even worse than that would be the idea of like being in an autopsy room and getting ready to get carved open and being mentally aware of it, but not being able to do anything.
Oh man. Yeah, probably has happened before. With all the medicine and stuff that they do. But how do you know again? How do you know who?
Whenever the person like comes out of it and they're like, I still need that lung. Put it back in, man. I'm not dead. I'm not dead. I feel that blade. Get back. Get away.
That would be something.
Even to be the like dude doing the autopsy or performing the autopsy, and then for the person on the table to wake up, I honestly would probably kill them. I would be scared, and I would kill them. I think the zombies were about to come to life or something, man.
That is an interesting statement because think about it. I mean, you went to school for that. You've been doing it for years or whatever. And something like that happens. What's the natural response from a person to like freak out and knock you in the head with something, right?
Right. And you can't be mad at them. I mean, obviously, if you're the person who just died, you're probably not the happiest, but you're dead, so it don't matter. But like
somewhere there is a hidden box with full of hidden tapes from autopsies that went wrong. Oh man, that's messed up.
Oh man, you got like these investigators that are like, all right, where's the feed? What feed?
Oh my goodness.
You were supposed to be recording the autopsies, so we know how they pass. Yeah, I forgot to hit record. Clumsy me.
Battery died.
the battery. You know what? There's a power surge. It was storming outside. I'm pretty sure the storm took out the recording. Sorry.
Oh man,
I don't remember the stab wound being on the forehead.
Oh, this big knot on a dent from
that was
busting
already
him in the head.
That was already
right. Oh man, that's funny.
On to the next one. Famous conqueror Napoleon Bonaparte was once attacked by a horde of bunnies. He had requested that a bunny hunt be arranged for himself and his men. When the rabbits were released from their cages, the bunnies charged towards Bonaparte and his men in an unstoppable onslaught.
Can you imagine a bunch of soldiers running from rabbits
and the commander in chief?
Get this bunny off of me!
Sacre bleu! Evacuate!
Shoot him! I'm not gonna shoot a bunny. Are you kidding me?
It's so cute. It's sinking its teeth into me.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, all of them got bunny phobias now.
Oh man, that would be something that I'd want to see on video.
Oh, that would be funny. That'd be hilarious. Oh my goodness! Bunch of
I like how it says a
running from
horde
rabbits.
of bunnies. You know, a horde of zombies sounds scary. A horde of bunnies sounds like somebody's some like tween girl's bed covered in stuffed animals.
Oh man, I could just see all them running away from the rabbits. That's funny.
And why? You know, it's like, how would you explain that? Like, obviously Napoleon Bonaparte is like a leader, but like, how would you go back to your people who you're leading?
You don't
with
tell
your
him.
men.
He's like, this stays between us. Yeah, I hear anything about this, I'll line you up in front of this firing squad.
They probably did it to whoever collected the bunnies and then watched them run away from it. He probably just executed all of them, but he couldn't execute the bunnies.
That's one of those things, man, where people are fearless and they're not scared of anything, and then you bring the little smallest thing in, and they're terrified, right?
I mean, I don't know. So, like, I think if it was less than like 5 or 6 bunnies, I would be fine. But if I had more than that charging me, now again, if I had a line of men with me, then this would not a factor. But if I had more than 6, I'm just going to say 6, then I probably would be a little more confused and I wouldn't even say scared. It'd be more of like a what's going on kind of reaction. But if it's like a horde of like 30 or 40 of them, then I would be pretty terrified. I don't care how cute they are.
It's the right amount of numbers of anything. I guess it would be terrifying. I mean, think about ants. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If it's just a couple ants, you're like, eh. But if it's like millions of ants, you're like,
Oh, dude, we were doing a bonfire one time, and I went to a park down the street to get some just dead wood. And I remember throwing it in the back of my car and coming home to bring it out. It was so dry that they were just covered in ants. So I popped my trunk open, not paying attention because I'm talking to somebody while I'm unloading it. I grabbed this first log, and my right arm was just covered in ants within seconds.
Holy cow!
That's not even scary. That's just uncomfortable and just like, I don't even know like how to explain it. Like 30 minutes later, even after they're gone, you're still feeling ants on.
Yeah, it definitely has a impact on how you react to it. I would have freaked out.
Right. Or have you ever fed geese?
No.
Man, you take some bread to a park and feed some geese. You get
Wait a minute. Now I just had a thought. I got to go way back on that one.
Yeah.
Yes, I have. I was much younger. A couple years ago.
Much younger, back a few years back.
Right. So I do remember taking some bread to the park, and there was geese out there.
Mm-hmm.
And one geese, I kind of walked up to it and gave it a piece of bread.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing I know, there's like all these geese starting to come my way, right? And I'm like, have some bread,
As you throw the whole loaf at him and run.
That's exactly what ended up happening. Because I'm like, y'all ain't trapping me in the middle of all this. I'm out.
I've had that happen several times. And there was one time my grandpa was a truck driver and he had several dachshunds over the years. And there's one time where we get parked right by a lake and he opened the passenger door and the dachshund just took off towards this swarm of geese. And then all you see is it like disappear behind the truck. And then a few seconds later, you see the dog just run the other way across, and it's being chased by like 6 geese. One, it feels powerful. You get 5 or 6, and then that thing's running.
Oh, yeah. Strength in numbers.
There's also a joke about like, why did God give geese such long necks? And it's because it's something easy to strangle.
Okay.
All right. On to the next one.
Got to get past the beak first.
On to the next one.
All right.
Ketchup was sold in the 1830s as medicine. In 1834, it was sold as a cure for an upset stomach by an Ohio physician named John Cook. It wasn't popularized as a condiment until the late 19th century.
Isn't that something?
I'm not a ketchup fan, so I don't know.
I am on certain things, but to think of it as a medicine,
right. For me, I feel like ketchup is sugar with tomatoes added. I'm not really a huge. I mean, I'll put it on things. I'll use it to make sauces, but I don't really care for it. I mean, I'll dip fries in it occasionally, but it's definitely not like I'm a mustard guy more than I am a ketchup guy.
That's very interesting. That's something that I didn't know about. To use as a used to treat upset stomach. Interesting.
Do you ever heard of like a spoonful of vinegar is good for you, or like a spoonful of honey? Ketchup was never really something that I ever heard of.
Right.
I'm curious. I'm curious.
I mean, that is the 1800s.
Right. They also did milk enemas back then. So, there's that.
I think some people probably still do that now. It's just a little different.
Now it's more of a fetish than it is a medicinal thing.
Right.
Oh man. I remember talking about that on an episode because there's actually images of like the bat. I mean, I can't even tell you how far back, but they used to actually hook people up to an IV and inject milk into their bloodstream. I imagine they didn't live very long after that, but they did do it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Why?
I don't have an answer.
Okay.
But yeah, no, ketchup's not my top condiment. Definitely prefer mustard. I like mayonnaise. A lot of people don't like mayonnaise. But yeah, they got spicy ketchup now. I mean, spicy ketchup's pretty good.
I don't like the spicy ketchup.
Oh, really?
I don't. It's a little too much.
What do you put ketchup on if you use ketchup?
French fries.
Yeah. It's
That's,
pretty basic.
yeah, that's about it.
Hamburgers, hot dogs.
Yeah,
Mm,
pretty much. Yeah, that's it.
yeah.
The basics.
Yeah. Yeah. The basic stuff. You definitely don't use it for an upset stomach.
Oh heck no, heck no. I'm I'll get a 7-Up or
Mhm.
Tums, or I don't like Pepto Bismol, but if it gets that bad, I'll go to Pepto Bismol.
Do you remember? They probably still have it, but Pepto Bismol had tablets.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom, I remember as a kid, my mom would eat them in like candy, man.
Oh, what?
I don't know
Oh,
why. Now they have like Tums that remind you. They're kind of like Mentos.
really?
Yes, they have
Wow.
Tums that look like Mentos, and they taste like a chalky candy. But they're not bad. They're not bad. I've had them.
Okay.
Take my word for it, okay? No
All right.
ketchup. Go get you some Tums.
There you go.
Next up. In the ancient Olympics, athletes performed naked. This was to achieve closeness to the gods and also help detox their skin through sweating. In fact, the word gymnastics comes from the ancient Greek words gymnasia, I'm not really sure how to pronounce that, athletic training exercise, and gymnos, which means naked.
Huh. That explains a lot. That explains a whole lot. Over the many years of Olympics and athletes, that makes a lot of things make sense now.
I can tell you right now, I would be a terrible judge at this event.
Oh man.
Why don't you give them a 3 out of 10? Everybody else scored 10 out of 10. Well, they didn't trim their pubes. They were a little too curly for my taste.
Oh my goodness. there was a weird shape going on there.
I was distracted by the lump on that athlete. I think they might want to go get tested.
Oh
Well,
my
what about their skills? I was pretty distracted. I don't think I really got what did they do again?
Oh wow. Oh, that is crazy.
God forbid it's a good looking woman,
You're supposed to be keeping score, making sure the time didn't go too long. You're supposed to be watching the clock. I was watching.
I'm watching. I mean, I saw the athlete. I'll tell you that. I think they threw something, but I'm not sure. I wasn't really watching that close.
Oh man.
Hey, can I borrow those binoculars real quick?
Oh shoot.
The gods are looking down like, man, these idiots.
They're probably laughing too. Oh shoot.
I wonder at what point they decided to switch it to clothes.
Well, they probably had a lot of distractions, like we're talking about. Nobody was keeping track of the time or keeping the score like they were supposed to. People were late to their events.
Oh man, a lot of perfumers out there like, oh, put this on before you go out there. Advertising some perfumes and body washes.
Oh man. Where were you? The race started 30 minutes ago. Well,
I was in the locker room checking on the athletes. Yeah, they're all good. They're good. There's one that might be unconscious. I hugged him a little too hard.
Oh my goodness.
I better go check on him. I'll be back. Give me about 5. You know what? Give me 10 minutes. I need 10 minutes. That's interesting. And depending on the sport, even back then, it was a lot of like sharp objects. A lot of racing, horse-drawn racing. I just can't imagine any of that being comfortable or smelling pleasant.
I'm right there with you. Especially after being physical and warm environments.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. You know how a locker room smells? There you have
There it is.
it.
We just made ancient Olympics sound very unpleasing by 2 words.
The spectators are sitting there watching, and they run by. They say, "Oh, that's where that sound came from." When somebody does something amazing, oh,
Oh,
it wasn't amazing. It was a scent that rolled by. Oh,
oh man, the chafing from after riding a horse, man. That is God.
oh my goodness, we are cutting up, man.
Thanks for tuning into some history on StarrDumB.
Absolutely.
On to the next one.
Okay.
Tablecloths were originally designed to be used as one big communal napkin. When they were first invented, guests were meant to wipe off their hands and faces on a tablecloth after a messy dinner party.
Okay, I can see that, but I can also see that going really bad. Some people are way more messy than others.
Right. I'm gonna be honest. I love my beard and my mustache, but it's very difficult for me to eat clean or drink clean. But I love my mustache so much that I just always have a napkin on hand. But I like you said, I could see that. I can see that being a thing. Nowadays, I think that's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
Maybe back in the 16th century, maybe even 17th or 18th century. But I think probably around sometime in the 1800s, they probably realized, this might not be the best option for being clean.
Yeah, no kidding. Germs.
I'm sure makeup back there then was not pleasant either. Just smearing their makeup on stuff. It's all like back crap and everything just getting smeared on these napkins.
And they used a ton of makeup too. They caked it on.
Oh yeah, and I'm pretty sure a lot of food back in the day was very greasy.
Yeah,
pretty much all of it. I don't even know when utensils were invented. I think that's probably something I could look into. But before utensils, everybody used these things. So
yeah. And they make messes.
Right. Definitely. I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot to say on this one. I just thought it was an interesting fact.
I think it is. I think it's an interesting fact. And
do you use tablecloths at all?
No, I'm more of the placemat thing that goes under the plate, or just a little thin thing for decoration.
Right.
Not really into tablecloths. I think tablecloths have had their time, and it'd probably be years before it comes back into being a fad or whatever.
We use them, but for disposable purposes. Like if we're having a gathering for a holiday, or if we're doing a shrimp boil, a crab and shrimp boil, instead of putting them in containers, we'll just dump them on the table. We'll take a boiling pot, strain it, and then just dump it right on the table. And everybody will just snack from the pile. And then when we're done, we just fold up the tablecloth and throw it away.
I think, like, for what do you call it, special occasions or whatever. I think that's the only thing they use tablecloths for now, like a wedding or a reception or some type of special extravaganza. Not much more.
Now, I imagine that the wealthy, like some of the wealthier, well, I don't even know, like because if you get to a certain point of wealthy, you just have a crew that does all the cleaning for you.
Yeah.
But I feel like there are like some wealthier people that probably use tablecloths. I don't know, man. Yeah, it's not a popular thing. You don't just go to the house and see one.
No, it's mostly just whatever material the table's made out of. That's what you get.
Table runners. I think I've seen table runners. More like that centerpiece kind of cover.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
For decoration. That's it.
Right. All right. Next up, I think we got a couple more here. We're doing what we do usually, man, where we burn through them and then we have to kind of talk to it. We always make it last about an hour though.
Yeah.
This one's good. This says, before alarm clocks and way before smartphone alarms, there were people called knocker-uppers who would literally knock on people's windows to wake them up in time for work. Up until the 1970s, knocker-uppers used a long stick, soft hammers, rattles, or even pea shooters to reach your client's windows. Your reaction to these is actually comical because half the time, like, you either pause or you just start cracking up.
Well, out of everything that you read, the thing that stood out the most is knocker-uppers. And I keep hearing this person in the back of my head saying, what's her name got knocked up? And that's where my mind went, because out of everything, you read a lot. You said a lot of things. Alarm clock, waking people up on time for, this is what they did.
But knocker-uppers stood out.
Yes.
Oh, are you the baby daddy? No, I'm actually just the knocker-upper.
Oh man. It's funny.
Your resume says knocker-upper. Yeah, that was something I did for about 10 years. It's a professional knocker-upper.
Yeah. I used to knock her up. What? Oh no! Before the alarm clock, I used to throw pebbles at the window.
Back before the Nokia, I actually had to, go. I actually had this hammer, and I'd hide in the bushes, and I would just reach my arm out and knock on the window to wake them. They'd pay me. I promise. I wasn't. There's a couple times where I accidentally went to the wrong house. Yeah, that was just a misunderstanding, though. I didn't knock her up anybody there.
So what happens when the knocker-upper oversleeps?
They request a refund.
You're fired. I need somebody who's reliable that can get me up on time.
You get a 1-star review from me.
Oh, that is so funny.
I'm telling everybody in the neighborhood.
You're out of this line of work. You need to find something else to do. Oh man.
Up until the 70s, that's not that long ago.
I know that's crazy, right?
The fact that can you imagine seeing that as like a classified ad or like a help wanted ad? Just people looking for, and how would they even reach out and find them?
There's no cell phone.
Hey, I saw you the other day. You were at my neighbor's house. I actually almost called the cops on you. What were you doing? Oh, wait, you're their alarm clock? Oh, that's so smart.
Now that you say that, I'm thinking about old school stuff now, like Westerns.
Yeah.
And how like people would like ride on horses to get from this area to this area all across the country.
Mm-hmm.
And they get from one town to the next, and the quickest way to travel is by horse.
Right.
But you get from one town and you make it to the next town, and they already got the information that was in the old town. You're like, how in the world did it get here quicker than me? How did that information travel so fast? What's going on here?
You got some pro knocker-uppers out there.
Oh man.
There's a show, I don't know if they're still around. It's called Gentleman's Guide to Knife Fighting. It's kind of like our version of Burn After Playing, except they're Australian. And they do these skits, and there's this one where it's like the 1600s, and they're making fun of Twitter, and there's some guy sitting at his desk writing a note, and then like he's got his window open, and this bird flies in, and he hands it the note, and then it flies out.
Pitching man.
And then the next person gets the tweet.
Oh, that's funny.
That is good. That's what I think of. Well, if somebody was to come out, like, this isn't that far ago, so there's probably still people alive that at one point was a knocker upper.
That's crazy. Can you imagine that?
Well, before I went to Vietnam, there was a very brief moment where I was a knocker upper. Excuse me, what was that? Yeah, I was a knocker upper. I was actually the best in my town. I mean, I was the only guy, but I was the best at it.
Oh man. And now today we have door knockers.
Now they're called solicitors, okay?
Oh man.
And ring doorbells.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's
That's
right, next
funny. Oh shoot.
up. 14 years before the infamous Titanic sank, author Morgan Robertson wrote the novelty Futility. It was about the large unsinkable ship Titan hitting an iceberg in the northern Atlantic. What's even weirder is the Titanic and the fictional Titan did not have enough lifeboats for the thousands of passengers on board. Coincidence?
You know, I'm gonna go shine on this one, Mr. Conspiracy Theorist. I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think when somebody creates a story that later happens almost identical to the story that they create, I'm thinking they're using that story to send a message to everybody to know that this was already planned, or this was something that was already in the works, and this was their way of trying to send a message to everybody else that something's gonna happen, or something is in a plan to happen. I mean, it's too much that identifies with the actual occurrence prior to it happening. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like,
and you're talking about 14 years before. I mean, a decade and a half prior to it actually. Setting afloat.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear about these copycat killers, these people that get obsessed with authors or obsessed with movies, and then they go out and enact them. This is 100% believable.
Yeah, I agree. Which sucks because, it sucks because there's so many people involved who lose their lives behind it, and it's just a messed up deal.
Actually, on the last episode, the Blurred Lines episode I did with Sean, we vaguely touched on the topic of War of the Worlds. Have you seen the movie War of the Worlds, or familiar with it?
Yeah.
It's based off of a book that was written back in like the 40s, and there was a radio station that broadcast a live. It was a live broadcast of War of the Worlds that was written by an author, and back then that's all people listened to was radio, and people went nuts. There were riots. There were people they legitimately thought that the world was being overcome by alien invaders, but really all it was a staged performance of the book.
Wow.
I mean, that's insane, man. I mean, it's not hard to make people believe that something is what it is. I think to read a book, let's like this Futility, and then back then I'm sure even a lot of people didn't read either, so to have the knowledge of the book and then put it into play, not many people would even know about it back then. Like back then they would just think that it was an accident.
Even though it was foretold years prior.
Right. It's crazy.
People will believe.
Right.
Have
you been to Branson before?
I have.
They had the Titanic there where it's like half the ship. Have you been in it?
No.
It's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. When you first go in, you're given a name, and it's a passenger that was on board the Titanic. And then by the end of your tour, you find out who you were and like the history behind your character. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, it sounds neat. They got some good entertainment in Branson.
They do. Branson is like a family version of Vegas. You know, not a lot of gambling, but there's a lot of attractions.
And it's not cheap.
No, it's definitely it's not cheap. I agree with that statement. I think we got. Let's see here. We got 2 more.
Cool.
I'd say we did pretty damn good on timing.
I agree.
Between the 11th and 19th centuries, a number of Buddhist monks successfully mummified themselves. They adopted a practice called Sokushin Butsu. I'm pretty sure I butchered that. In which they gradually weaned themselves off food and water and essentially starved themselves to death over the course of 1,000 days. It was believed that by successfully mummifying themselves, the monks would achieve true enlightenment.
What were they drinking between the 11th and 19th century? It had to be something extremely powerful.
Sokushin Butsu, that's what they were drinking.
I don't know why certain eras were so fascinated with death. Right. Why would you starve yourself and mummify yourself? You're a healthy individual, right? And you're taking all that away. What for? What? What did it say? Enlightenment?
Yes. To achieve true enlightenment. It's like those suicide cults, you know. I mean, it's just more of a spiritual version of a suicide cult. So you're gonna stop. Yeah. So you're gonna start this week, and we're gonna start cutting your rationings in half until there's nothing, and then at that point we're gonna start cutting you off on water. That'll be by about day 14, and then you're just gonna not do anything. You're just gonna sit there, and what's gonna happen is you're gonna die, just like you are sitting there. And yeah, that's basically it. You'll be enlightened.
Yeah, it'll be true enlightenment. How about true stupidity? I can't even get it out.
when your body is found several thousand years from now, people are going to be like, that guy was enlightened.
Modern day translation, that dude was lit. He was so wired that he went the full distance, and he got enlightened so much that he couldn't be brought back. Oh my goodness!
Turns out that like the monk leader like was some escaped convict that like just had a fascination with the death of people. He's like,
I tell you what, man. Between the 11th and 19th century, I'm not going to be a Buddhist. I'm not going to be a monk.
I don't think I could do it today, man.
I got the shaved head thing down pretty good, but as far as mummifying myself and seeking true enlightenment by not eating, hey, I'm gonna eat. I'm sorry. You better bring me my food.
Nowadays, that is called anorexia or bulimia.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's taking fasting way beyond the whole point.
That's not even fasting, man. That's just
that's crazy. It's crazy.
Self-torture. That's what that is. Speaking of mummies, I actually did a skit earlier this evening because I was doing some research and it came up that male mummies were more preserved than female mummies. And do you know why?
Why?
Because of the fear of necrophilia, when a woman would die, they would wait until they hit rigor mortis before they would take them into the mortician. Because they were worried about the female bodies being molested.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's gross, but it's understandable.
Wow.
Right. Talk about some information.
Gee.
Ugh.
Women just got it hard no matter what, right?
Yeah. And men
Jeez.
are just perverts.
I'm going to stick it in something.
She's still soft.
Oh, my God.
Man, it's disturbingly funny. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, we kind of.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking
Moving
about
on.
back when they mummified people, though. So I mean, come on. I mean, back when the ancient Romans, used to do naked Olympics. Those women would die, and those judges who were, had a real stiff on for them. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm gonna apologize. I digress.
Oh, oh,
Men are
man.
pervs and women have it hard. That's just how it is.
Oh.
With that being said, though, if you want to starve yourself to death, you can achieve true enlightenment.
I think I'm gonna try something different. That is amazing, dude. That is amazing. But what's crazy is look at the time length on this.
Yeah,
11th century through the 19th. There's a lot of people.
that's 800 years.
That's a lot of people
It's a lot. Yeah.
doing the same thing to achieve true enlightenment.
Mm-hmm. I should have dug a little bit deeper into this Soku Shin Butsu. Maybe I'll make a clip about it.
Okay.
You know how I kind of do those location clips where I get information.
Yeah.
That'd be a fun one to do. All right, last one.
All right.
There were dance marathons during the Great Depression. These human endurance contests served as a way of giving financially unstable married couples a roof over their head and food to eat for a few days. The dance partners would take turns sleeping while the other propped them up and continued dancing with them.
Wait a minute. Okay, back up. Hold on. You mean to tell me all these old school dance-offs were so they could eat and survive? It was like, wait a minute. We thought that was like competition for fun and being competitive.
Yeah.
These people were surviving?
Yeah. honey, hey, we gotta dance for 32 more hours and we'll be able to feed the kids for the next week.
It's my turn to sleep. It's my turn to sleep. You're not strong enough to hold me up. We're gonna
Sorry, I can drag your feet. Just lean on my shoulder. I got you.
Oh man.
They called me the disco king.
If we get disqualified too soon, we won't be able to eat.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Right. That's nuts, man. It almost seems like a kind of a comical way for the government to show their wealth. Like you have to do this series of ridiculous things, and we'll feed you.
Wow.
Right? I didn't know this bit at all today.
This is incredible, man. Because this stuff is like in movies, and they still do these things even to today, depending on where you're at and what you're doing.
And it says
this is where it comes from.
A human endurance contest is what it's called. That's crazy, man. And somebody like me who can't dance, man, I would have ended up like those monks. Unintentionally starving myself to death.
So these people were avoiding true enlightenment. Is that what it is?
They were worshiping the devil to feed themselves, but dancing for days on end.
That's crazy, man. I don't know where you find this stuff, but it's also interesting, like you said in the beginning. It's just some very interesting things. Funny, ridiculous, and
Yes.
really radical, but definitely interesting.
Right. Like radical is definitely an understatement.
Yeah.
Um, it definitely these kind of episodes I find very, I don't know, they're very like knowledgeable in a stupid way.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yes. It's fun. I mean, a lot of these are fun. I mean, I've kind of broadened StarrDumB now, and how I've kind of talked to you about. I've made it sort of an interview based show by still
Mhm.
trying to keep that same sort of comical aspect, but being able to kind of go on a random topic like this and just give information, ridiculous or not.
Mhm.
It's fun, man. I mean, that's why we do what we do.
Absolutely.
I do want to throw this out there to everybody that is tuning in. We have multiple shows. I think that I've might have overwhelmed myself with different aspects of shows when I could easily just do 2 or 3 shows and still capture the same things. You know what I mean? Kind of
Now,
like no,
no, you need at least 90 shows
I
a
need at least
week.
90. Yes, a week. Like creating the culprit could easily be a StarrDumB episode, thrown
Uh-huh.
in here and there. I think that we have a lot of amazing concepts, but I think
Mhm.
that some of them can be kind of encapsulated with some of the other shows or absorbed into the other shows. At least on my end, um, I get so like creative, and I think that I'm like, yeah, let's do it. But then,
Mhm.
you throw in your day-to-day lives and everything else. It's like, man, I don't necessarily need 17 shows or 19 shows
Um,
or,
yeah, you do actually. I mean, when you think about how creative you are, and when you create something new,
Mhm.
that new creation actually sparks another new creation
Right.
because of how it's being delivered, or
Uh-huh.
it just triggers more creativity.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love it. And every time you're like,
Yeah.
I got an idea, I'm like, well, here, what is it? And you tell me, I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, yeah, I appreciate that because I do. I'm not saying that I don't agree that I like the variety that we have.
Mhm,
It's more of like a time restraint to get to them.
mhm,
I at the same time though, what we do live all goes to the same place. So no matter what the show is, it's still
mhm,
aired at the same place. You're still
mhm,
capturing the same fan base. So does it really matter? I don't know. When I first started podcasting, it was, hey, you gotta do a show every week. You gotta do on this show.
mhm,
So do I
mhm.
do 19 shows a week? No, I don't need to do 19 shows a week.
No, I think you pace yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
stardom. This
Mhm.
is this is the baby that started it all. So
Uh-huh.
you can fire off a stardom episode like that.
Right.
But when it comes to some of the other shows that you created, it requires more in-depth thought or more research. You know what
Right.
I'm
Like
saying?
Singed.
Like Singe, exactly.
Mhm. Mhm.
So those are not going to be so um,
Frequent.
often.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
frequent. There you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. So I think that variety is great.
All
You
right.
can work on this one here, or you can work towards this episode here,
Yeah.
and in between, you just drop a bunch of stardom. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right. Right.
So it's just a continuous, you know, lifeline of JG's Lounge going,
Right.
and that's what I love it, man. Because
Mhm.
even with me, you know what I'm saying, having the 4 shows that I have and being a guest on 2 others regularly,
Right.
um, you know, it keeps me busy. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
always doing a show at some point during the week, if not
Mhm.
7.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
man, there's, this audio series that we're working on,
Mhm.
man. I mean, it's turning out fantastic. I'm finding some little or not necessarily loopholes. I'm finding some, potholes,
Mhm,
in
mhm,
it. Being an audio series, the biggest part, or struggle is the audio quality. So
mhm,
I've got actors and I've got actresses, I've got film directors, comedians that want to be a part of this audio series. I mean, think
mhm,
about watching the show Friends, except you're listening to it.
Oh man.
That's where we're going with Cherry Picked. It's gonna be this comical, dramatic, absurd JG's Lounge that we all love, but it's gonna be presented as like a show, like not like a podcast, but like an actual sitcom that you would sit down and watch.
And I'm telling you, we're gonna lose it. We're gonna lose it. I already see it happening, man. We're gonna be losing it.
I don't want to give away too much. I'm actually tonight. I plan on finishing up the pilot, and it's gonna be good. I mean, Ev.O.Lution knows some of the stuff we're talking about. There's a few others that are involved in this, and it's gonna be worth listening to, guys.
Stay tuned.
Stay
JG's
tuned.
Lounge
Right,
is coming
JG's
with all
Lounge,
kinds of-
man. Talk about branching into other areas. I mean, this is fun. This is what we love doing. Another Burn After Playing's on the way next week. I've already got 4 or 5 people lined up for that. Probably gonna get a couple more. So stay tuned for another Burn After Playing skit. But yeah, man, I mean, we're going places.
Absolutely.
Everybody that tuned in, Quiet Wyatt, appreciate you for throwing in there. ALOP 56, FOMO gets banned. That's pretty funny. Thank you for throwing a little comment in there. I'm not sure what half this stuff says, but thank you. Appreciate you guys. And until next time, we appreciate you guys tuning into StarrDumB, tuning into JG's Lounge. Ev.O.Lution, always wonderful having you on. And
thanks, man.
Yeah, until next time, everybody, stay tuned.
Take care.